Honestly, Jasmine, I'm surprised you even made it this far. Principal Howard Mitchell said those words backstage at Riverside High School in Richmond, Virginia. It was June 2015. Graduation day. An 18-year-old Jasmine Williams was about to walk across that stage in front of 400 people. But Principal Mitchell had pulled her aside 15 minutes before the ceremony. "I just want to manage your expectations about the future," he continued, adjusting his tie in the mirror. "College isn't for everyone, and with your background, maybe community college or a trade school, just something realistic." Jasmine stood there in her green graduation gown. Her mother had pressed it that morning, twice. Her grandmother had driven 3 hours from North Carolina to be here. Her little brother, Marcus, only 10 years old, was sitting in the audience with a homemade sign that said, "That's my sister." And this man who was supposed to celebrate her achievement, was telling her to lower her expectations. "Yes, sir," Jasmine said quietly. "Because that's what you did. You said yes, sir, and you kept moving." She
Please
walked out
welcome our
onto that
graduate.
stage 20 minutes later. When they called her name, her family screamed louder than anyone else in that auditorium. Her mother, Diane, stood up with tears streaming down her face. Her grandmother waved both hands in the air. Marcus jumped up and down so hard his chair nearly tipped over. Jasmine accepted her diploma from Principal Mitchell. He barely looked at her as he shook her hand. Just another student, just another name on the list. But what he didn't know, what he couldn't possibly know, was that Jasmine Williams had spent 4 years proving people wrong. And she wasn't about to stop now. Let me take you back. 4 years earlier. Freshman year. Jasmine arrived at Riverside High with straight A's from middle school and a folder full of awards. She'd been captain of her debate team, president of student council. She was ready. But from day one, something felt off. Her history teacher, Mr. Patterson, seemed surprised every time she answered a question correctly. "Oh, good job, Jasmine," he'd say like he was shocked. In English class, Mrs. Chen paired students for projects based on similar academic levels. Jasmine kept getting paired with students who barely turned in homework. When she asked to be paired with someone different, Mrs. Chen said, "I think this is a good fit for you." In AP Biology, she was the only black student in the class. The teacher, Dr. Reynolds, never called on her, even when her hand was the only one raised, even when she knew the answer. It was like she was invisible. One day after class, Jasmine approached Dr. Reynolds. "Excuse me, Dr. Reynolds. I've had my hand up for the last 3 classes and you haven't called on me once." Dr. Reynolds looked uncomfortable. "Oh, Jasmine, I didn't want to put you on the spot if you weren't sure of the answer. But I am sure I know the material." "Well, maybe you think you know it, but AP Bio is very rigorous. It's okay to sit back and learn from the other students." Jasmine felt heat rise to her face. "I have a 98 in this class." Dr. Reynolds blinked. "Oh, well, that's good, keep it up." He turned away and started erasing the board. Conversation over. Jasmine went home that day and cried in her room. Her mother heard her through the door. Diane Williams knew that sound. She'd made it herself, years ago, in different classrooms with different teachers who'd made the same assumptions. She knocked softly. "Baby, can I come in?" Jasmine wiped her face and nodded. Diane sat on the edge of the bed. "Talk to me." And Jasmine told her everything. About Dr. Reynolds, about Mrs. Chen, about feeling like she had to work twice as hard just to be seen as half as good. Diane listened without interrupting. When Jasmine finished, her mother took her hand. "I know it's not fair, baby. I know it hurts." "Then why do I have to keep doing this?" Jasmine's voice cracked. "Why do I have to keep proving myself over and over?" Diane was quiet for a moment. "Because one day," she said slowly, "you're going to be in a position where you can change things, where you can make sure the next Jasmine doesn't have to fight this hard." "But what if I can't make it that far?" "Oh, baby," Diane pulled her into a hug. "You're going to make it, and you're going to fly." That conversation changed something in Jasmine. She stopped waiting to be called on. She started speaking up anyway. In AP Bio, when Dr. Reynolds ignored her raised hand, she'd respectfully interject. "Excuse me, Dr. Reynolds, I have a thought on that." He couldn't ignore her if she spoke aloud. In English, when Mrs. Chen tried to pair her with struggling students again, Jasmine politely advocated for herself. "Mrs. Chen, I'd really benefit from working with someone at a similar pace. Could I work with Amy or Connor?" Mrs. Chen looked annoyed, but she agreed. Slowly, Jasmine learned to navigate the system. Not by being quiet, but by being undeniable. Sophomore year, she joined every club she could. Junior year, she started a tutoring program for underclassmen. Senior year, she applied to be student body vice president. And won. But Principal Mitchell, he never quite saw her. In meetings, he'd talk over her. When she proposed new initiatives, he'd dismiss them without discussion. "That's nice, Jasmine, but let's focus on realistic goals." There was always something. Always a reason her ideas weren't quite good enough. But Jasmine kept pushing, because her mother's words echoed in her head every single day. One day, you're going to be in a position to change things. After graduation, Jasmine went to Virginia Commonwealth University. She majored in education policy. People asked why she'd want to go into education after everything she'd experienced. "Because of everything I experienced," she'd say. She wanted to fix the system from the inside. College was different. Professors who saw her, mentors who invested in her, opportunities that felt earned, not given out of pity. She graduated summa cum laude, then got her master's degree in educational leadership, then started working as a curriculum specialist for Richmond Public Schools. She was 24 years old, and she was just getting started. For the next 5 years, Jasmine worked her way up. Assistant principal at a middle school, then principal at an elementary school, then director of academic programs for the district. She implemented equity training for teachers. She redesigned how students were placed in advanced courses based on potential, not assumptions. She created mentorship programs specifically for students who looked like her, students who needed someone to see them. And in 2024, at 32 years old, Jasmine Williams was promoted to Assistant Superintendent of Richmond Public Schools, one of the youngest in the district's history. Her first week in the new role, she had to attend a meeting with all the principals in the district. Standard procedure. Introduction, expectations, vision. She walked into that conference room at the district office with her head held high. And sitting at the table, third seat from the left, was Principal Howard Mitchell, still at Riverside High, still in the same position he'd held for 15 years. Their eyes met. She saw the flicker of recognition, the confusion, the realization. Jasmine took her seat at the head of the table. "Good morning, everyone. I'm Jasmine Williams, your new assistant superintendent. I'm looking forward to working with all of you to ensure every student in our district has access to quality education and feels seen, valued, and believed in." She looked directly at Principal Mitchell. Because every student has potential, no matter their background. The meeting lasted an hour. Jasmine outlined her priorities, her initiatives, her expectations. Principal Mitchell didn't say a word. After the meeting, as people filed out, he approached her. Jasmine, congratulations on the promotion. Thank you, Principal Mitchell. There was an awkward pause. I have to admit, I'm impressed. You've done very well for yourself. Jasmine smiled politely. I did exactly what I planned to do. He shifted uncomfortably. Listen, if I said anything back when you were a student that came across the wrong way. You told me I'd never amount to anything, Jasmine said calmly, on graduation day, backstage. His face went pale. I don't remember saying that. I do, I remember every word. The silence hung heavy between them. But here's the thing, Principal Mitchell. I'm not here for an apology. I'm here to make sure no other student at Riverside or any school in this district hears what I heard. She picked up her folder. I'll be visiting your campus next month for a full review. I look forward to seeing how we can better support all of your students. She walked away. Professional, dignified, unshaken. Principal Mitchell stood there, frozen. And for the first time in his career, he understood what his words had cost. Not Jasmine, but himself. Because he'd missed the chance to mentor someone extraordinary. He'd missed the chance to be remembered as someone who believed in her. Instead, he'd be remembered as the obstacle she overcame. 3 months later, Jasmine visited Riverside High for her review. She walked those same hallways she'd walked as a teenager. But this time, she wasn't invisible. This time, teachers greeted her with respect. This time, students saw someone who looked like them in a position of power. During her visit, she stopped by Dr. Reynolds' classroom. He was still teaching AP Bio. When he saw her, his eyes widened. Jasmine. Dr. Reynolds, good to see you. She observed his class for 20 minutes. And she noticed something. When a young black girl in the front row raised her hand, Dr. Reynolds called on her immediately. After class, Jasmine pulled him aside. I noticed you've made some changes in how you engage students. Dr. Reynolds looked down. I've been doing a lot of reflecting the past few years. Equity training, implicit bias work. I owe you an apology. You do, Jasmine said. But more importantly, you owe it to your current students to keep doing better. I'm trying. I can see that, keep trying. It wasn't forgiveness, but it was acknowledgement. And sometimes that's enough. On her last day at Riverside, Jasmine stopped by Principal Mitchell's office. He looked older now, tired. Jasmine, how did the review go? I have some recommendations I'll be submitting to the board, but overall, I see potential. He nodded slowly. Can I ask you something? Of course. How did you do it? After everything, how did you keep going? Jasmine thought about her mother, her grandmother, her little brother Marcus, who was now 19 and in college himself. I had people who believed in me when it mattered most, and I decided their belief would be louder than anyone's doubt. She stood to leave. And Principal Mitchell. Yes. The students who walk these halls right now, they're watching you, just like I was. Make sure what they see is someone who believes in them, not someone who limits them. She left his office, and she never looked back. Today, Jasmine Williams is still transforming Richmond public schools. She's 33 years old, and she's already being talked about as a future superintendent. Principal Mitchell retired last year. In his retirement speech, he said something that surprised everyone. I've learned that our job as educators isn't to predict students' futures. It's to prepare them for futures we can't even imagine. He didn't mention Jasmine by name, but everyone knew who taught him that lesson. Because the truth is this: when you underestimate someone, you don't stop them. You just ensure they'll succeed without you. And Jasmine Williams, She didn't need Principal Mitchell to believe in her. She just needed him to get out of her way. And now, she's making sure no principal ever stands in the way of another student's dream again.